One guy.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Friday. You've made it through the week. We're at the tail end of the day. You've got plans for the weekend. Plans for tonight. We've got some exciting football going on tonight in the Mountain West. 2 top 25 teams also squaring off. And we got a bunch of high school football games tonight. We got an interesting NFL weekend as well. So a lot of things to preview this hour here on the Full Court Press. We'll continue to take your texts as well. There's some, I don't want to call it breaking news. It's not breaking, but there's a report that that Utah State may be in line to receive a presentation for their.
That's the hard-hitting journalism you listen to this show is so we can report on when Utah State leadership will view a PowerPoint presentation.
Review a presentation for an invitation. Is that the right way to put that?
Something like that. I don't know. You can tell Utah State is really grasping at hope to not get left behind in this. Is that one report from one Yahoo Sports reporter? Granted, it's a credible reporter. I don't want to just write this off as some rando on social media, but it's like, okay, that's the bit of life, but don't cling to that and say it's definitely going to happen because you got to wait and see.
There's a lot that hinges upon that.
And I'd be willing to bet Utah State, they're not plan A. I don't even know if they're plan B. They might be plan C. Granted, if some of these other schools that are in the AAC or other, they might view the Pac-12 as a temporary plan. And that's kind of the interesting thing here where, like, if Utah State doesn't get in this round, like, what's been the history of Utah State over the last 60 years? They get into that conference eventually. They eventually got into the WAC after they got left out of it. They eventually got into the Mountain West.
Not on the first invite.
Yeah. Sometimes not even on the second invite. They didn't even get the WAC on the second invite.
Sometimes not even on the third or the fourth.
So you might see Utah State move up eventually to the Pac-12. Maybe again, I don't have any insider knowledge here, but say Memphis, Tulane go over to the Pac-12 for 5 years or 6 years, and somehow they manage to wrangle up an invite to the ACC, and suddenly Utah State looks a lot more attractive, just by virtue of the fact they're pretty much the only ones left.
You know what? I'm on this side of the room. I'm just going to be optimist and say that, yeah, we're going to get the invite. There's going to be snacks at this presentation. The PowerPoint's going to be on point. Like
that's going to be the selling point is what snacks are there.
Yeah. I mean, Washington State, you get their Cougar Gold cheese, Corvallis.
Does Utah State bring crumble cookies, the $8 cookies?
It'd be better than the taxidermy from Oregon State.
Look what we bring to the table. Yeah, let's go.
$12 heart attacks. It's basically
they're delightfully delicious.
Yeah, they are, but it's expensive, and I can feel the heart flutters while eating it.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting report from Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports. If you want to go find it, really, it's the emphasis of the article is about Memphis and its profile, kind of its success over the last several years in football. High profile. It's a good basketball and improving basketball school. It has some big money backers, like the main guy at FedEx committed a bunch of money for NIL to Memphis. So they're well positioned, but they're also in this spot where they're maybe straddling a little bit of a fence here. The fence being the American Athletic Conference, with one eye looking to the Pac-12 and another looking at the ACC, trying to figure out where to go and what to do. But any movement to the Pac-12 from the American Athletic Conference kind of hinges on Memphis if they go. And if they don't, then the Pac-12 pivots back to looking at other members of the Mountain West, and Dellinger reporting that Utah State would likely be among 3 schools that they would take a long, hard look at.
I did not see college realignment edition of the Bachelorette on my 2024 bingo card. It seems like everybody's looking for a rose these days.
Yes.
That's something we should. It catches us off guard, and then we're like, maybe we should have seen this coming. But a couple of texts, 9-15. First off, saying we need USU ice cream. Saying we need USU ice cream would convince anyone to take us. They just need to eat it, like the
Mikey commercial back in the day.
Also asking how much would $15 million a year from the Pac-12 improve what Utah State can do in sports? And well, the answer is, what can you do with $10 extra million per year?
That's a lot of crumble cookies.
It's a lot.
That's like 3 whole crumble cookies.
With sprinkles?
Oh, no.
The sprinkles, that's down to like 2.5.
Sprinkles are for winners. Now, it would be huge. I mean, monumental. You could do more improvements to the football stadium. You may be able to even build and it's risky, but you may even be able to build a new basketball stadium.
You probably pay some of those head coaches an extra $1 million or $2 to not.
There was talk about building an even larger indoor practice facility that would have a full size field in it, so soccer could use it as a legitimate venue. So there's a lot of things I know where that money has been kind of.
I would hope they wouldn't
bantied about as ideas over the last several years, but I don't know if it would specifically go to that right away.
I would hope they wouldn't use an indoor facility as an actual venue for soccer. That is like criminal, mainly for the fact that you'd be playing on turf.
Well, mostly for practicing. I don't know if they would really use it for
practice on
competitions.
turf.
I don't know.
I'm just complete anti-turf in soccer, and to be honest, it'd be nice if they wouldn't do it in football too. But
Jason, tell me how turf hurt you in the past.
Have you ever slid on the ground for 3, 4, 5 feet going for a soccer ball on turf?
Now, question: do I look like played soccer at all in my life?
Turf has literally hurt me.
Okay,
quite literally. You could probably, if you look close enough, you might still find some black pebbles stuck in my calf.
Jason's had a bad skin graft problem with turf back in the day. It's kind of scarred him.
Yeah, I know how terrible it is to play soccer on turf. But I mean,
it was something that was being proposed a few years ago. That it could be used for a indoor soccer practice facility besides indoor practice facility for football. Golf could use it.
Yeah, golf, softball. I know a lot of the softball, baseball teams around here rely on the facility that's already here.
Yeah, the Lob Indoor gets used a ton. Not just by Utah State athletics, but by club sports and other high school sports. Yep. Just when you're getting into the winter or bad weather, or early spring, it's hard to find a field that's not tore up and in a mess. So those indoor facilities are super valuable.
That'd be a huge benefit to have that, to add that, because you're absolutely right. The high school teams around here trying to find a place. Like the Logan baseball team went up to the Lob Center and they were able to secure some stuff, but I was like once a week, so that would be a great addition.
Yeah, except to share with everyone. So that's the kind of stuff you could do with $10 extra million. But one, you're not getting a $15 million deal from the Pac-12. That's just like, even if Utah State gets in, 10 at most.
Yeah.
We're not going to oversell the Pac-12 here
because the member institutions aren't really that much different. So I mean, what extra value is there?
Yeah, there's some.
You get Oregon State and Washington State, but then it's all of your other familiar cast members in the same show.
Yeah, it's slightly glorified Mountain West, which is worth something. Like, it'd be higher than what the Mountain West is getting. Like, you might double or come close to doubling what you get in the Mountain West, just because there's already going to be an increase. So you just make it a little bit better. There'd be more money there. But yeah, $15 million is a pipe dream.
So anyway, if you want to continue to chime in, feel free. 435-339-0321. But we're going to shift topics a little bit. With it being Friday night, we need to talk about what's going on in high school football. We actually had one game already in the books that took place last night. Mountain Crest went down to Westfield down in western Ogden.
Taylor, Utah is technically what it's called.
So the Mustangs and the Longhorns, two orange schools, squared off last night, and the Mustangs jumped out early and never really looked back. And look, they played well against Skyview and took their show on the road and picked up another region win in pretty dominant fashion.
Yeah, not too surprising here. I mean, we saw Green Canyon go 35-0 on Westfield. Mountain Crest looking like they're a team that's at least trying to be on par with the Ridgelines and Green Canyons, and Skyview now seemingly recovering their the reputation they kind of lost with a couple of early defeats. But they're looking just fine. So not surprised that Mountain Crest went in and dominated. They've been a good team all year and getting a chance to show that against Westfield.
So tonight, this is the schedule that we've got in place for this evening. There's an out of region game on the schedule, and that's Skyview hosting Orem tonight up in Smithfield. And Skyview, this could be interesting. How does Skyview respond after a tough loss on their field against the Mustangs? A very close game.
No, they beat the Mustangs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had that flipped around. They beat the Mustangs. So how do they? It was very emotional games, regardless. But how do they follow that up? Is there a bit of a letdown with this not being a region game anymore, and kind of an odd game out of region this deep into the season?
Well, I think when you're looking at a 5-0 Orem team and the fact that the Bobcats have, they lost those games against Morgan, they got spanked by Morgan, and they lose to Spanish Fork, who's one of the better teams, I believe, in football in 4A right now. So, they're trying to kind of recover the luster they lost with those two road losses. Now they're on their third straight home game and trying to prove to everyone, hey, we're still one of the best teams in 4A. And they have a chance to, they're 2-0 in region. Their region record's not going to change, so they'll stay in they'll have the same winning percentage as anyone at the top. They may not be 3-0 after this week, but they can say, hey, look, we're here to stay. We're not going away. We're still Skyview. And I think this is a chance to prove that. And it's a chance to raise their RPI, which their RPI is going to have dipped because of those losses to Morgan and Spanish Fork, and have a chance to improve their playoff seeding and just continue. Because I think they took a lot of pride. Like when they beat up on Logan, that was Logan kind of taking the rough side of Skyview's anger. And then Skyview continued that with the win over Mountain Crest. And I think they're going to continue riding this high into the game against Orem. Whether or not that's a win, I can't say that for certain. It's a good Orem team.
Very good Orem team.
But I think you're going to be seeing the best of Skyview still the same way you've seen, I think, the best in the last 2 weeks.
I think when Skyview played Logan, all of a sudden the NOS in the engine for Skyview opened up.
They hit the boost button.
Yeah, they hit the boost, and I don't think they may not stop. I mean, they came out and made a huge statement, and they carried it over to Mountain Crest. It was like they, all of a sudden, you could see, they found sixth gear. You better watch out.
Orem is the highest scoring team in 5A. They are undefeated, 5-0, and pretty solid defense as well. So Skyview's going to have their hands full tonight, but that will be here on the Fan. Hurricane John Newbold and Rex Davis on the call. Pregame coverage around 6:50, between 6:45 and 6:50 is usually when they get that rolling. And then full play-by-play here on the Fan, also on video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. Moving a little bit south, it's homecoming for the Logan Grizzlies as they host Green Canyon. And this could be an interesting one as well, in that Green Canyon, a team that's smarting from their loss, and how do they respond against Logan, who also trying to find their footing a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Logan started off with two very thrilling, very emotional wins on the road against Hillcrest and North Sanpete, but they are winless in their 3 games since. And last week, kind of a tough one because you're going to Westfield and both teams were struggling. And when you're in that situation, you try and get a win, but the Grizzlies went down 20-0. I think early in the second quarter was when they went down 20-0, or late first quarter. And then that was pretty much it. They couldn't really dig themselves out of that hole. I mean, after that 20-0 opening by Westfield, Logan outscored the Longhorns 14-7. But you play 4 quarters. You don't get to just not count one of them. And that's kind of been one of Logan's issues for about 4 games now, is not starting off fast. They're going to have a heck of a time starting fast against Green Canyon, a team that's shut out 3 opponents. They've had 3 opponents that just never got off the ground. They didn't start fast. They didn't finish strong. They did nothing. And so Logan's got a really tall ladder to climb to be competing in this game.
I think we could see a TKO by halftime.
Oh, come on. Don't be like that. I'm wearing a Logan shirt right now.
I know. And I've got 2 kids that go to Logan. I love what Coach Butts is doing there and everything. But Green Canyon coming after that Mountain Ridge game or the Ridgeline game and the way everything played, I think they're going to be looking to make a statement again, say, hey, guess what? We're going to come for you again and take our shot. Side note in this game, Reed Olson and 3 of the Grand Canyon players are also targets for the Aggies. We'll talk about those 4 players tomorrow on KVNU Game Day when we talk to Brian Phillips about recruiting. So kind of cool to see some of the kids locally being targeted by Utah State.
I really want to see Reed Olson in a Utah State jersey. Yeah, that would be great.
Yes, please.
Very talented player. In Green Canyon, this is a team that they were kind of hanging with Ridgeline, and then Ridgeline pulled away and ends up winning 39-21. Green Canyon was this team in the state championship game last year, known for a really stout defense and improving offense this year. But Ridgeline clearly separated last week. So Green Canyon may try to come out and reestablish themselves as a legitimate contender in 4A, if not still give themselves an outside shot to win the region. So anyway, that game, a couple different places to find it. On KVNU, our good friend Jason Walker on the call with Josh Anderson. Also, so that's 102.1 FM, 610 AM. Also on 100.9 Light FM and video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. The other game to talk about involving Region 11, Ridgeline at Bear River. So the Bears hosting the Riverhawks. Bear River getting over the hump in a non-region game, an out-of-state game last week, going up to Burley. Some really solid performances by some of their players, getting that much-needed win. They've been so close on a number of occasions. Is that enough for them to build momentum going to this next game where they're taking on the top team in all of 4A?
This might not be the week for that, unfortunately. As much as I loved seeing Bear River get that win, I've been really saddened to see Bear River being so close but so far away from wins in some of these games where I thought they were going to be middle of the pack. I thought they'd be similar to Mountain Crest because I thought they were both kind of following that same path back up to relevance in Region 11. Bear River just seemingly taking a step back. And yeah, as much as you like seeing that win last week and some spectacular play from several of their players, Ridgeline's that's a tough team to be taking on here.
You know what, Bear River, just bring your slingshot and a couple stones. You never know when you might be able to take out a giant.
That's true.
We had the player of the week for Cache Valley who had a massive game. You know, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, get a couple of those big plays. Yeah, yep. Reggie Hess getting those long kick return.
But you're like, Ridgeline looks like a well-oiled machine that's just, coming to take the region.
Somebody's eventually got to stop Graham Livingston.
Yeah.
He's putting up 150, 200-yard receiving days as like an afternoon snack.
That's another roster that has a number of D1 prospects on it. That's a very solid team in Ridgeline. A couple different ways to follow this game, and really it depends on who you're most interested in. If you are a fan of the Riverhawks, we'll have a dedicated broadcast for them on 104.5 The Ranch in in Cache County, with Dave Simmons and Stratford Simmons on the call, video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. If you're a fan of the Bears, we'll have a designated channel for them on 104.9 The Ranch in Box Elder County. And you can listen to the game. We have an audio stream of that on CashValleyDaily.com as well. So a couple different ways to follow that one game. as Ridgeline is at Bear River. We've got a designated broadcast for the Bear River side and a designated broadcast for the Ridgeline side. So that's going to be an interesting night throughout Region 11. We'll have scoreboards and scores from other schools from throughout the area on CacheValleyDaily.com later on this evening. So be sure to check it out. We'll also have photo galleries and opportunities to rewatch games. If you were at a game, you saw something, and you want to go back and watch it again, or you're at a game and want to keep an eye on another, just have your mobile device ready, and you can dial it up and watch it from where you're at. While you're watching one game in person, you can keep an eye on a second game on your phone or your tablet.
That's a lot of times if I'm, calling one of the games and I want a real quick score update. We send score updates to each other, but if I want to check real quick specific, just pull up the game. What's the score? Find out pretty quickly.
There you go. So that's our night for high school football in our family of radio stations and CacheValleyDaily.com for Region 11. A quick timeout. We'll be right back here on the Full Court Press.
Cold weather is here, which means you'll be using your gas fireplace again. Let Advanced Fireplace and Stove, the 4-time Best of Northern Utah Gold Medal winner, help you get it ready for those cold Cache Valley winters. Schedule a service call with one of their service pros today and receive 20% off when you mention this ad. If you're building a new home, Advanced Fireplace and Stove can design and install a Napoleon fireplace. From traditional to modern, Napoleon has something for every design and every budget. Find out more at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
This is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account, and if you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
This is Ryan, My Mattress. I have a little bit of a bone to pick with online bed-in-a-box mattresses. If value is the combination of price and quality, these beds are not a good value. They cost about $1,000 and they last about 3 years. That's not a very good ratio. At My Mattress, you can get a $799 Sealy Posturepedic that will last you 10 plus years. The best value is at My Mattress. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally?
The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Stop in today with your prescription. Let Crystal Vision fit glasses that fit your style. They're located on 14th North by Sportsman's Warehouse. That's Crystal Vision. You also check them out at crystalvision.com with Crystal with a K. So the some news for Utah State men's basketball, Jason. We talked about this earlier this week. Utah State getting a commitment from a wing considered to be a 4-star recruit. Well, apparently the wins just keep on coming for Jared Calhoun and his coaching staff. And it's been a very busy week for verbal commitments for this staff at Utah State.
Yeah, several players over the last week and a half, they've gotten commits from Elijah Perryman, Concord, California, Clayton Valley High School. He's a 6'1" point guard or shooting guard, 3-star commit according to 24/7 Sports. And then the one that we brought up, because it was a 4-star recruit, Adeline Elliman of Paul VI Catholic. At least I think Paul VI. I'm assuming that means the 6th.
Sure.
One of the Catholic saints, I imagine. Fairfax, Virginia. 4-star recruit from 24/7 Sports. 138th ranked player nationally by their database. So that's one 4-star recruit. So already a pretty big win. A 6'8" wing. A guy who may project as a combo forward, either small forward, power forward. But then they added another recruit who by 24/7 metrics is a 4-star recruit, Kingston Tosi. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that last name there. Millennium High School, Goodyear, Arizona. So he's another guy that's kind of that combo forward, 6'7", maybe tends a little bit more toward shooting guard, small forward, maybe a smaller power forward. But yeah, another 4-star recruit, 120th nationally by 24/7 Sports. And you add it all together, Eric, and you end up with, at least as of now, I know it's kind of early in all the recruiting and all that, but 24/7 has the Aggies with the 17th overall recruiting class in the country, which is really weird to see because I'm used to seeing triple digits in that spot. Not two of them, much less numbers as low as 1 preceding a 7. Usually add another 1 in front of that, and that's about where the Aggies sit.
It's been really cool to see the news. We've had a bunch of news come out from the Hill, and this being positive stuff. Coach Calhoun, 2 4-star recruits, a 3-star, and we're getting closer and closer for basketball season to tip off. And man, I can just see the excitement online. When the news broke of this, I think Aggie Twitter broke for a little bit there. It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and you've got a senior-laden roster. I mean, I don't know if I can name all the seniors off the top of my head. There's so many of them. Ian Martinez, Dayton Albury, Drake Allen, Aubin Gadarazzi, and a few others as well. So there's a lot of guys who are leaving after the season because it's their final year of eligibility. You got to rebuild that roster. Now, mind you, there are a lot of guys and you kind of have to add the qualifier of if they don't get poached by some Power 5 school, but you've got long-term guys potentially like Tucker Anderson, Mason Falslev, Isaac Johnson's got a little more eligibility, and even a promising freshman already in Isaac Davis, who was probably the first big recruiting win of Jared Calhoun's tenure. So Calhoun brought in a bunch of guys that might make a bit of a one-and-done season, where a lot of the rotation this year might be one-and-done guys. But he's very much building for the future, both with guys on the roster now and the guys he's bringing in.
Isn't that kind of the current makeup of basketball, though, college basketball, that we're going to probably get our fair share of transfers that want to come in and work with Coach Calhoun, but we're going to have to kind of make sure we add that together with the homegrown talent that we recruit into. How do you think the balance is so far playing out for that?
I mean, it looks pretty well because, you look at the roster as it stands now, you're going to have guys that are veterans that are leaders. Ian Martinez, Drake Allen, Aubin Gadarazzi. Those are guys that you're expecting to start or probably start in their, seniors. But you mix in the youth, Tucker Anderson, Mason Falslev. So they're finding a nice balance there between the experience and talented youth. And there's some guys that are probably going to have to sit. Isaac Davis may not get to play a ton this year, or maybe I'm wrong and maybe he ends up starting. Who knows? I've been wrong before. But it is pretty interesting to see this team put together. And one fact that's kind of interesting, and I'm a little nervous reading this because I see these other names and it makes me hesitate when I look at the benefit of adding these recruits. Because you look at 24/7 there, when they have their composite rankings, like the top 5 recruits Utah State has ever brought in. Jared Calhoun is now responsible for 3 of the top 5.
Wow.
And he's been here for a few months.
Yeah.
Because number 1 is Shimon Zapala, and that's why I'm kind of worried because that's one of them. And I don't even know if you recognize his name.
I don't.
Okay. He was here for a few years and he didn't do a whole lot. Then Adlin Elman is number 2. Isaac Davis is number 3. Liam McChesney, I don't know if any of you remember him. He was a promising 6'10", potential stretch 5, small ball, or stretch 4, small ball 5 out of Canada. Ends up transferring somewhere else. Then Kingston Tossie comes in at, Tosi. He's number 5.
Yeah, clearly it speaks to the program that is Utah State, that this is a program, regardless of who the head coach is well supported by its fan base. It's a great home crowd, plays in a great conference, and has a path to the NCAA tournament, path to the conference championship. And Coach Calhoun is coming in and building off of that. And this is somebody who, as we've kind of watched his career or looked back on his career, we've noted that when he builds a team, he likes to get experienced transfers to come in to build his roster and have that veteran leadership there. And we haven't really known what he's like as a high school recruiter. What kind of talent does he bring in from the high school level? But clearly his staff, they're knocking it out of the park this offseason and getting ready to build something very exciting for the future if these guys can stay here and honor their commitments.
Yeah, and a lot of these recruits committing after the news about the Pac-12 and maybe Utah State getting left behind. It's like they're still going to come here and play basketball. They're still going to play high-level basketball with Utah State no matter what ends up going down.
Oh, that was Eric Hout's message to us the other day, is that look, whatever happens with conference realignment, he's like, that doesn't really matter, because Utah State has proven over the last 24 years it's always competitive. It's going to have a path to the NCAA tournament. It's always going to be there competing for conference championships, has a great home crowd, and has a great tradition of basketball excellence.
It's kind of amazing when you think about all the realignment talk and the negative stuff, and then put it in perspective. Think about the fact that Coach Calhoun just brought in the talented recruits that he did. With all that other drama out there, it should kind of quiet the drama for Aggie fans in their minds.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the program is just heading in a good direction. They'll be fine. The NIL situation is getting better. It's definitely improved what they're able to do, and the fact they were able to retain some of their key players from last year. They could have so easily lost Ian Martinez and Mason Falslev to the portal. They didn't.
Almost did.
Yeah, they almost did, but they didn't, and that's kind of the big thing there. They couldn't compete with the $2 million that got put on Great Osabor's plate. But even then, they had a decent pitch to him. But again, you're not convincing him to stay when he's got $2 million and his former head coach, up at Washington. But they can hang on to some of their guys. They're not going to hang on to everybody. They're going to lose stars to the portal. It's going to happen. I'd almost be willing to bet that one of these three players, if not all three of them, end up transferring. That's just kind of the way things go. But you may get a really good year or two out of them anyway, and that is overall a benefit to the program.
Sprinkle went to Washington, right?
Yep.
To run the thing down. That's where Osabor went? Right,
yes.
To do all that.
Yeah.
Well, one of those 4 stars, it's skipping my brain right now, he had a laundry list of schools, and Washington was on that, and he picked USU over Washington.
Another one of them was being recruited by Ryan Odom's current school. So the Aggies beating out their former head coaches for recruits.
Nice.
Even though they left there to go to greener pastures.
Right. It's very true. But besides Utah State basketball news, there's some Utah State women's basketball news. Today they dropped their completed non-conference schedule and a look at their what their conference schedule should look like as well. And so Utah State women's basketball home games this season for non-conference starts with an exhibition game with Westminster on October 25th. Then the season gets underway hosting Kansas City on November 4th. CSUN, I forget what that stands for.
Cal State Northridge.
Oh, yes, that's right. Cal State Northridge on November 8th, and then Cal State Bakersfield on November 14th. So they open up with 4 games at home to ease into this new coach and this new roster before they hit the road. And they're going to hit the road for a while. They won't return home until
for a
close to
freaking
Christmas.
month.
Yes.
I mean, they do kind of get to come close to home on a couple of occasions because they're going to play a game in Salt Lake and in Idaho, or I should just say Moscow. They're going to go to Moscow. I'm going to leave it at that. Moscow, Idaho.
Moscow, Idaho, yeah.
But yeah, so they had a month of games just away from home. Most of them are true road games. Games at Northern Colorado, at Omaha, at Utah, at Grand Canyon, at Idaho. And in the middle of that, they'll be in Dayton, Florida for a couple of games. One against
Daytona Beach, Florida.
Oh, Daytona Beach, excuse me. It just says Daytona, Florida on the schedule I'm looking at. So,
yeah.
But Ohio State, Wes Brooks' old stomping grounds, and then Stetson, the other team they'll be playing there in a little showcase there. Before finally wrapping up non-conference at home against UC Riverside.
On December 18th.
Yeah, December 18th. So December 14th, home game for women's basketball. Next home game after that, December 18th.
Then a little bit of a break for Christmas. They don't have anything until December 29th, and that's when they begin conference play, hosting Colorado State. So the home schedule for the women's basketball this season will include Colorado State on the 29th, Boise State on January 8th, San Diego State on January 18th, New Mexico on January 22nd, a bit of a gap. Then UNLV on February 5th, Fresno State on February 8th, Air Force on February 19th, San Jose State February 26th, and then hosting Nevada on March 1st. They finish the season on March 4th at Boise State. Again, this is the new season with a new format for how they do conference games. So everybody plays everybody in both venues, at their place and on the road.
Yeah, home and home with every team in the conference. So should be interesting. And again, I'm just really excited to see what women's basketball does. Want to see what Westbrook's has in store. You know, they're talking the talk, and that's good. You know, you like what you hear. I've liked what I've seen, you know, so far as well. I like some of the recruiting that they've done. I know it's not as, you know, doesn't look as good as the 4-star recruits that Jared Calhoun is bringing in. Granted, they don't have as robust recruiting ranking system in women's basketball as they do for basketball. But I like some of the guys that they're bringing in. They brought in Elise Livingston.
Elise, yeah.
They're also, I know they've been going after hard a very talented girl from Snow Canyon. I haven't got an update on that. I haven't looked into that recently, but very high-scoring player out of Snow Canyon they're trying to get. And they've got some other players they brought in transfer-wise and high school recruit-wise. And it might be rough. It might be tough sledding because they're young and they're going to be doing a new system, and it's going to be chaotic, and it's going to be very prone to having a lot of turnovers and a lot of missed shots. But there's going to be some nights where it's magical, and you're going to see these Aggies put up a lot of points. They're going to play tough defense. They might make a lot of mistakes on defense, akin to, you know, maybe missing a lot of shots on offense. But I really want to see how Westbrook's tries to put together a winning program here. And I think he's got a formula, and he's going to stick to it, and hopefully it works.
Yeah, really intrigued to see what this new philosophy and new attitude for Utah State women's basketball, and if they can be a little more competitive, and certainly look to be more entertaining, at least in the style that it's being described. So we'll see how that works out. And by the way, they're bringing back Aggie Madness. That's been gone for a little while. So the first look for Aggie fans to see both the men's and women's basketball teams will be on October 7th in the Spectrum at 7:30. And that's not that far away. That's just a few weeks away. And first chance to really see what these teams look like and be introduced to both the men's and women's basketball teams.
I was talking to Dallin Wilson, the president of the Herd, earlier for an interview for Game Day, and he was talking about that. And it's going to be like an NBA All-Star weekend environment. The whole community's invited. They want everybody to come out and support the basketball program, to be out there for homecoming week and everything. So it's going to be a great time. Going to kind of take the kids and everybody up there.
Very fun. All right, we got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. We need to say goodbye to Jason. He's got to head over to the Logan High Grizzlies as they prepare for homecoming festivities, taking on Green Canyon tonight. Again, those games links and details about all the high school games in our area are on CashValleyDaily.com.
Have you thought about your furnace lately? Of course not. It's hot outside. Now's a great time to start thinking about replacing it or having it serviced for fall and winter. Advanced Heating and Air will help you get some of the industry's best rebates on a new high-efficient York furnace installed in your home. Or one of Advanced Heating and Air's service professionals can service your furnace for the upcoming winter season. Call today, 752-7272, or schedule a free estimate at advancedheating-ac.com. York, install confidence.
This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. Here are the top 3 reasons to buy from Daryl's. Number 1, Daryl's has the best pricing and save more with exclusive mail-in rebates up to $600 extra. Number 2, introducing a 2-year parts and labor warranty on all appliances when delivered and installed by us. That's security. Number 3, if something goes wrong, Daryl's factory-trained in-house techs service everything we sell. From the service to the sale, an installed Daryl's Appliance does it all. Daryl's, west on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
It has been said there are 2 seasons, football season and waiting for football season. Because we are Aggie fans, we'll be there when USU kicks off this new era with a new coach and a new quarterback. Locker 42 is where Aggie fans prepare for the game. T-shirts, hoodies, jackets, hats, and other assorted apparel, all emblazoned with the Aggie logo. Aggie fans are forever hopeful, dedicated, even resilient. Locker 42, a store for Aggie fans by Aggie fans.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, J.D. Walker. We've said goodbye to Jason Walker. He's going to make his way over to the Logan High Grizzlies for high school football. And the rundown again for high school football tonight: Logan hosting Green Canyon, Skyview hosting Orem, and Bear River hosting Ridgeline. All those games will be broadcast on local radio and video streaming on Cache Valley Daily. Last night, it was Mountain Crest, and they took on Westfield. Mountain Crest played really well. They looked good throughout and just kind of held their own offensively, defensively, ended up winning the game 30-7, had 27 first half points, and kind of called off the Dogs a little bit offensively, but still stout defensively. And solid game for the Mustangs last night. So a bunch of other games tonight on the high school football schedule. And speaking of football, it's we're rolling into week 3 of the NFL. Not a very exciting game last night. Jets took care of business. Aaron Rodgers looked very solid. Looked like the Aaron Rodgers of old, someone we haven't seen in a little bit. But a busy schedule throughout the rest of the weekend. And any games jump out to you, JD, that are on your watch list for this NFL Week 3?
The early game on CBS, the Texans and the Vikings. C.J. Stroud has been a really fun watch.
Yes.
And I counted out the Vikings at the beginning of the year when their rookie quarterback went down, J.J. McCarthy. They have something with ACLs there. Kirk Cousin, him. They just don't stand up. But Sam Darnold, coming back, the former Carolina Panther, former 49er, looking like crazy baller out there. He threw a touchdown pass. They were pinned in their own end, and he threw a touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson that was just spot on the money. That looks like it's going to be a really good game. I have Packers-Titans scheduled. The Titans are 0-2, but my question for the Packers is Jordan Love going to see the field, or will it be Malik Willis again this week? Malik, of course, not Jordan Love at all, but actually handled it pretty well and was able to be a dual threat and handle those things. The Seahawks, this was a game that was actually put on as a loss for many of the predictors of the preseason, but with Tua out now, the Seahawks are a 4-point favorite against the Dolphins. Be interesting to see how Skylar Thompson does stepping in there, and are the Dolphins really going to just commit to him for the rest of the season, or are we going to make a move for Mac Jones, or are we going to go dust off Ryan Tannehill from whatever Irish pub he's at? I mean, it's kind of crazy, those games. The Eagles and Saints, it could be a high shootout, but there are some good games for the NFL this weekend.
Yeah, by the way, Jordan Love is listed as a game time decision for Sunday. There's some games that feature, for lack of a better term, desperation. That could be, because of that, could be interesting and entertaining. The Ravens at the Cowboys.
Whoa.
Ravens are 0-2, Cowboys 1-1. And so both teams still trying to figure a few things out early in this season. And the other one that could be interesting is the 49ers at the Rams. Rams are 0-2, Niners are 1-1. Both teams suffering from a lot of injuries. So it's this is a survival of who's left standing. And because of that, it could be a pretty sneaky good game with a lot of talent on both sides. not available because of a lot of various injuries for them.
It looks like a Pro Bowl starting roster of the people that are going to miss that game.
That's true.
Going back to the Ravens and Cowboys, so the Ravens lose this one. If it's in Dallas, Baltimore's a 1-point favorite. But if the Ravens lose this one, they go to 0-3. If the Cowboys lose this one, they go to 1-2. John Harbaugh, Mark McCarthy. Do you think either one of those seats start to get hot there?
McCarthy's more than Harbaugh's for sure. There's already pressure that they've been underperforming for a while. Baltimore at least, went a little bit deeper into the playoffs. But there's pressure on both franchises to do well and disappointing starts for both teams.
Yeah, picking up that loss to the Raiders, understand the opening night loss to Kansas City. That was just a heavyweight duel, and somebody was going to take the L. But the Raiders come to your home and they beat you. That's got to be a gut check for them. I would watch out if I was the Dallas Cowboys, because that Baltimore defense, legendary. They know how to get mean. And Lamar Jackson, he is the most incredible quarterback I've ever watched, but I feel like he's in a system and an organization that just has no idea how to really build around him to make it to the final destination.
Yeah, and he just seems to struggle in those super high pressure situations where he does well for a good chunk of the game. Like, he's great to have on a fantasy football roster because he does so many yards and running and throwing. But when it comes down to the finer details of winning or losing in power-packed situations, he's been inconsistent there. Sometimes he's still great, but there's been a number of occasions where he wilts or he lets that pressure get to him and doesn't get the pass on time or where it needs to be, or misses somebody who is open and could help the team move forward.
Was hoping like another superstar like Derrick Henry would take that burden off of him, so to speak, and maybe lighten the load on him on those. But you're right. He does not have that ending of the game mentality that some of these quarterbacks are able to, like Kirk Cousins did the other night. Like,
right.
We see it. These quarterbacks in the fourth quarter, I love the comeback stats. John Elway, Brett Favre. Like, that's where Super Bowls are won a lot of those times, the last minute drives and stuff. And you're right. Lamar Jackson just has a little bit of problem fixing that together. So that is a rough place to start 0-3.
Text coming through on our Full Court Press text line 5338. I am the most interesting quarterback in the world. Michael Jackson took dancing lessons from me. Signed, Derek Carr.
Hey, you know what? My time in Vegas, I got to run into Derek Carr a couple times and talk to him, and just the most genuine, down-to-earth guy you could ever imagine. I love that he's being successful, and, I think he got fined like $15 million for the moonwalk move or whatever he did to MJ thing. So, but good for him.
But, hey, look, that's another kind of a surprising, really successful start of the season is for New Orleans, and they're hosting the Eagles, a team that's 1-1. They had the close win over Green Bay in Brazil, and they come back and have that loss against Kansas City. They just kind of mismanaged some things. They had the victory, and they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Yeah. And so they have to hit the road to take on a New Orleans team that's playing pretty well.
And New Orleans can put up 50 points on you in like a 2-minute drill. It is insane how Derek Carr looks healthy and he's launching the ball all over the field. And then in the AFC South, you got to think who else, or the NFC South, who else is down there? Maybe the Buccaneers challenge them. The Panthers have taken a permanent vacation from being competitive. So it's really open there, and the Falcons, I guess, there too you have. But, man, they're running and shooting all over the place, and it reminds me of those old Sean Payton days, Drew Brees just throwing all over the field.
When you look at the prime time, or I guess premier games that are on the schedule for this weekend, the Sunday night game, Chiefs at the Falcons. As we already mentioned, Falcons had that dynamic come from behind win in Philadelphia. Chiefs had to do something similar. And recently, the Chiefs are the ones that had the close one with Baltimore. But this is two teams, kind of exciting finishes this last week, squaring off on Sunday night in Atlanta. And then on Monday, I don't know if this is a very exciting lineup for Monday Night Football. Jaguars at the Bills. Jaguars are 0-2. And then you've got the Commanders at the Bengals. Commanders are 1-1. Bengals are 0-2.
Who put that?
Not particularly exciting, to be honest here.
I don't get excited when I see Jacksonville in the primetime game. I just never. I mean, it always turns out to be a color blast Thursday night. The Bengals and Jacksonville, the brightest colors you can ever see. But yeah, it's interesting. Bobby Wagner playing primetime there for Washington. Hopefully, gives Joe Burrow a nice knocking around.
That's true. That's a good reason to tune in.
Yeah.
Cheer on Bobby. All right, got to take another time out here in the Full Court Press. If you want to weigh in, always love to hear from you. 435-339-0321. But coming up next here on the Full Court Press, we'll look at the playoff race in Major League Baseball. The regular season is winding down. Some teams have already clinched. Others are on the fringe. And we'll take a look at who's already in and what the last couple of days look like throughout Major League Baseball. That's next on the Full Court Press.
What is love? Love is what we live for. Love is timeless, never ending. Love is when you say your name with hers and it has that special ring to it. At Jarek's Fine Jewelry, we know what love is. Our fine collection of engagement rings feature a variety of diamonds and colorful styles.
And if you can't find your perfect ring,
Jarek's Fine Jewelry will help custom design one that is the perfect fit. When it's love, it's Jarek's Fine Jewelry.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's.
Overwhelmed by Social Security and Medicare options? October 2nd at 6 p.m., Adams Wealth Advisors and Senior Benefits Insurance Services invite you to a free seminar that'll simplify these crucial decisions. Experts Jaden May, National Social Security Advisor, and Sherry Crosby, Licensed Medicare Agent, will help optimize your Social Security benefits and help guide you through Medicare options and costs. October 2nd, 6 p.m., come learn your options with Social Security and Medicare. Go to adamswealthadvisors.com/SS to reserve your spot today. Understanding your options makes all the difference.
Attention craft beer lovers. Prodigy Brewing is excited to announce their Community Craft Beer Fest on Sunday, September 22nd at Mount Naomi Farms in Hyde Park. Enjoy an afternoon filled of delicious craft beer, mouth-watering food, fantastic live music, games, and more. Come for the beer and stay for the fun. With local vendors, great entertainment, there's something for everyone at the Community Craft Beer Fest. For more information on tickets, visit Prodigy Brewing's Facebook page and mark your calendars for Sunday, September 22nd at Mount Naomi Farms from 12 to 5.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, J.D. Walker. Jason Walker is he's out the door. He's getting set up for Logan High football as they take on Green Canyon tonight for their homecoming game. And full play-by-play will be on our sister station, KVNU, 102.1 FM, 610 AM, also on 100.9 Light FM, video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. Tonight, here on this station, you'll hear Skyview taking on the Orem Tigers, one of the top teams in 5A. And see what Skyview can do after a fun and exciting game last week where they beat Mountain Crest in a close one. So that'll be here on The Fan and video streaming on Cache Valley Daily. Then we've also got Bear River hosting Ridgeline tonight in Garland. Multiple ways to tune in and watch that game. Just depends on which school you're a fan of. We'll have a Ridgeline broadcast and a Bear River broadcast. Both will be on 104 The Ranch, 104.5 in Cache County for Ridgeline, 104.9 The Ranch in Box Elder County for the Bears. So busy night tonight for high school football. Last night it was Mountain Crest defeating Westfield 30-3. But JD, we've got the Major League Baseball kind of winding down here as we get to the end of the regular season, and teams are pushing forward, try to get to the playoffs. Others, it was long ago decided they weren't going to go there. But before we get into the playoff race, we have to talk about what a special night last night in Major League Baseball with what Shohei Ohtani did for the LA Dodgers.
It was just to set aside all fandom and watch purely for the love of the game, to watch him go 6 for 6, 2 stolen bases, 10 RBIs, a single, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, an out of this world performance, and to become the inaugural member of the 50-50 club. And Eric, I'm a old school baseball fan. I loved Barry Bonds' 30-30, 40-40. Canseco did the 40-42, but he's got kind of an attitude, so I'm not a big fan of his. But just one of those, I think the 40-40 club's one of my favorite stats in baseball. It's just, just a cool kind of thing of like, this guy's epic. And Ohtani's just out of this world. He's setting the bar for the next generational superstar, whenever they come to break.
Yeah, an absolutely incredible night last night. In fact, here is how part of that sounded last night. This is a clip from their broadcast as they were in Miami taking on the Marlins.
Watching this guy. Oh my gosh! Shohei Ohtani, the greatest day in baseball history. This is not real life. Watching this guy.
Yes, it's like watching a video game. It's hard to, if you were watching it in person or on television, unfortunately it was going on while we were on the air. When he hit that 50-50, thankfully we were on the air and I saw it. We were able to comment on it yesterday, but he kept going.
Yeah.
6 for 6, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, a single, 10 runs batted in, 4 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, all in a day's work for Shohei Ohtani.
It is amazing the talent that we're getting to watch today with him in Major League Baseball. It's going to be one of those you're going to get to look back and say, I got to watch him play. I got to see Ohtani do something that was amazing. I know he went to the Evil Empire, but, good for him to maximize his value and everything, and the Dodgers culture really embracing him. Just absolutely dumbfounded to watch. It's like watching Ricky Henderson steal bases, or Roger Clemens throw, or Nolan Ryan striking out and doing a no-hitter. It's one of those amazing, and I'm a baseball guy at heart, and it is just one of those pure baseball things that just makes me love the game.
Only a couple minutes left here on the show, but looking at this, the schedule, the Yankees have clinched. The Guardians clinched just the other day in the American League. The American League West is still up for grabs, though. Houston's going to get it. Mariners are 5 games behind.
They blew a generationally good pitching staff this year. Just a horrible. They had a base running error last night. Randy Rosarina swung, lost the bat. Julio Rodriguez is on third in extra innings. So Julio jumps off the base to miss the bat and then is joking around, taking his time to get back to the base, and he's tagged out.
I love that. There's some uncertainty in the National League as well. They're not really a lot. I mean, the Dodgers have clinched the NL West. Brewers clinched the NL Central here recently. The Phillies have not yet clinched the National League East, but the Mets are 6 games behind. So really, this last little bit here really isn't so much about who's going to get what division. That's pretty much figured out. Really, it's about who gets the wild card spots.
And Atlanta may not make one of those wild card spots. The Mets are ahead of them. Arizona and San Diego ahead of them there. The AL is a mess. Baltimore leading 1 wild card spot, KC the other. But the last wild card spots, 2 teams tied, and one team 2 games out.
Yeah, this is great. This is the great time of the year for baseball.
Oh, it's perfect.
Teams are fighting for the playoffs. We have end of season records like we saw with Ohtani. I hope you're tuning in and watching it and enjoying it as we've enjoyed being with you. And hope you have a great weekend, everybody.
The home for Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390.